So I'm back again. Hi guys, back again. Football Heaven, 24/7. I'm your host Jamie. I'm going to get straight into it. Basically, there was a few mad things that happened at the weekend. I'm absolutely loving it because my team Forest beat Chelsea 1-0 thanks to a goal from Anthony Elanga. Okay, we only had something stupid like 26% possession or 24% possession, but we managed to get a goal in the game, and we could have had even more goals in the game, to be fair. So absolutely buzzing about that. We've had a really, really good weekend. So Forest fans are loving it. We're up to ninth, going into the crappy international break that every Premier League fan hates, pretty much. And EFL fan. But yeah, we're going to launch straight into it like we normally do. We're going to go straight in at the Premier League at the start. No surprises who's top of the Premier League at the moment. They've won 4 out of 4. They've absolutely smashed it. They've scored 11 goals in the first 4 games of the season. Usual Man City stuff. They smashed Fulham 5-1, even though there was an equaliser by Fulham by Ream in the 33rd minute. Haaland ended up with a hat-trick, goals from Alvarez and Ake. Gave them a comprehensive 5-1 win against Fulham. Pushes them right to the top of the table. So no doubts about that. In second place in the league, you've got Tottenham. They continue their great start to the season. I was a bit critical of their new manager, Ange Postecoglou, I can't even say his name properly, the Australian guy, because he'd only managed Celtic and a few other teams, I think it was a couple of Japanese teams and that. So he didn't really have a good CV coming into it. When you're looking at Celtic, I mean, in the Scottish League, that Celtic and Rangers would probably not even be, would probably get relegated out of the Premier League if we're being honest, because they're not really those stronger teams. But as has been shown in the Champions League a few times, when I think Rangers got smashed 7-1 by Liverpool last season. So we're going to go on with it still. But Tottenham, like I say, they're up to second, so they've had a great start. Ange Postecoglou has had a great start to the season. They've picked up 3 wins and 1 draw already at the start. They've already beaten the likes of Manchester United 2-0 at home. Not that Man United are any good these days, but yeah, they've had a great win there. So well done to Tottenham. Not popular to say that around where I live because it's all West Ham fans, but as I say, West Ham have had a good season as well. On Friday night, they played away at Luton and won 2-1. It's quite convincing by West Ham. They were 2-0 up in the game. Luton did get a goal back, but it was to no avail. It was 2 players that were getting a lot of abuse by the Luton fans. Jared Bowen scored and Kurt Zouma scored as well to get the winner for West Ham in that game. But yeah, so West Ham are in 4th. Liverpool stay in 3rd, are up into 3rd. And that's because they had a 3-0 win on Sunday at home to Aston Villa. Goals from the new guy, the Hungarian guy, whose name I still can't pronounce properly. Zasobsly, Zlak or whatever his name is. There was a cash own goal from the Villa defender, and Mohamed Salah got a great goal as well to make it 3-0 to Liverpool. As I say, Liverpool into 3rd. Dropping down into 5th, even though they won at the weekend in probably what was the most eagerly anticipated game of the weekend, which was Arsenal against Manchester United. Now, this game was quite controversial. It was 1-1 going into the last sort of 2 minutes of normal time. Garnacho went through on goal. He could have scored, the young fella for Manchester United. I think he was onside. I'm not a Man United fan by any shape or sort, but I thought he was onside. I still think VAR is a waste of time, in my opinion, for a lot of things. It should have been 2-1 Man United, but as it was, in the 96th minute of injury time, Declan Rice put Arsenal 2-1 ahead, and in the 10th minute of injury time, even though there was only 8 minutes of injury time given, they went even further ahead thanks to a goal from Gabriel Jesus in the game. So Arsenal won convincingly 3-1, and that keeps them in 5th. Other results of the weekend: the early kick-off on Saturday was between 2 sort of already relegation-threatened teams, I would say, in my opinion, and 2 favourites to be down the bottom end. Sheffield United up against Everton. Both played out quite an interesting 2-2 draw, to be fair. A goal from Cameron Archer on his debut, Pickford own goal for Sheffield United. Decore and Danjuma, the new signing for Everton, scored as well. So 2-2 draw there, not bad. Looking at other results from the weekend, Brentford and Bournemouth had a 2-2 draw. Goals from Jensen and Bromo, Solanke and Brooks for Bournemouth. Brighton absolutely smashed Newcastle in the evening kick-off on Saturday, winning 3-1. A hat-trick from Evan Ferguson, who I believe is only 19 years old. Absolutely insane. He'll probably be the next one on the conveyor belt out of Brighton, let's be honest, because they've got such a good track record of getting players in for next to nothing and then selling them on for stupid money within a few seasons. So, yeah, so that happened there. Other results from the weekend, Crystal Palace and Wolves, they were 0-0 at half-time. Game that most people thought would probably just be like a boring 1-1 or 1-0 either way to either team. Ended up an absolute thriller in the second half. Finished 3-2 thanks to 2 goals from Edouard and a goal from Eze for Crystal Palace. And Hwang and Kuna got 2 goals for Wolves. Wolves were obviously like the lowest goal scorers last season in the Premier League. So, yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. They got a couple of goals there, but like I say, they lost that game 3-2 and they were 3-1 down at one point in that game as well. So that was the result there. And looking at other results, I think I've mentioned pretty much every single result in the Premier League. So that's what happened with all the results on over the weekend through Friday through to Sunday. As I say, Man City still top in the relegation zone. No surprises really. You've got Everton, Luton, and Burnley. Luton and Burnley, 2 of the new teams that got promoted. Sheffield United are just above the relegation zone. So no real surprise there. Those 3 promoted teams from the Championship last season are down near the relegation zone. And obviously Everton, who the last 2 seasons have finished just above the drop zone. So, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. There'll probably be like a mini battle between those 4 teams to avoid relegation, I would say. But I think that's pretty much how it will stay for the rest of the season. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. Jumping into the Championship. Birmingham under new ownership, American ownership, they drew 1-0 with Millwall. Quite a respectable result for them. Millwall had a good season last year, just missing out on the playoffs. Coventry drew 3-3 with Watford. Ipswich Town came from 2-0 down at home to Cardiff City. Ramsey and Rolls have put them ahead, but goals from Broadhead and 2 from Ladapo put Ipswich 3-2 winners. So Ipswich continue their great start to the season, having been promoted from League One. They lie in second in the table, but another team that's doing absolutely fantastic and flying at the moment in the Championship is Preston North End. They're absolutely on fire. They've won the last 4 games, and they had a great result, winning 2-0 away at Stoke City to put them top of the Championship. Leicester shockingly lost 1-0 at home to Hull. Although I say shockingly, Hull are having quite a good start to the season themselves. They've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 1 in the first 5 games of the season. They're up in the playoffs in 6th after that win from Liam Delap, who they have got on loan from Manchester City. Promising young striker. Leeds against Sheffield Wednesday in their local Yorkshire derby. Sheffield Wednesday got rid of their manager. They should have kept Darren Moore, the guy that got them promoted, in my opinion. But Leeds, they're not having a great start to the Championship. That's another draw for Leeds. 0-0 against Sheffield Wednesday here. And I thought Leeds would have done better, to be honest, with the kind of players that they've got at that level. Having won 4-3 away at at Ipswich the other week, who were obviously lining second in the Championship, as I say. But Leeds, another bad result, 0-0 there. Decent result for Sheffield Wednesday. It stops the slide for them because they'd lost the first 4 games of the season, so they get a good point there. Looking at other results in the Championship, QPR pulled off a shock. Well, I say a shock. Middlesbrough have had an absolutely horrific start to the season. They're rock bottom of the Championship. Lost 2-0 at home to QPR. That's now 4 defeats in the first 5 games of the season. As I say, rock bottom of the Championship. A team that is absolutely flying, that got promoted from League One last year, same as Ipswich, is Plymouth, and they're on fire. They're not that far outside of the playoffs, actually. I think they're lying in 10th in the Championship. They had a convincing 3-0 win against Blackburn, who had been on a good run. Blackburn was up sort of in that top 6 area. Now they've dropped back down into mid-table area. But yeah, convincing 3-0 win for Plymouth, so fair play to them. Another, what people would say was a way day banker result. Norwich had been on absolute fire. They're smashing goals in for fun. They was at the top of the table at the start of the day. But they had a surprising defeat to Rotherham, who haven't had a great start to the season. But they finally get their first win in the first 5 games that they played, winning 2-1 at home to Norwich. So a fantastic win for Rotherham. I would say that and the QPR winning away at Middlesbrough was the results of the weekend, and Hull City obviously beating Leicester 1-0. So absolutely stunning results for all 3 of those teams. Another crazy result. Southampton brought in a lot of players. They had quite a good start to the season, but they got absolutely smashed in the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday at home to Southampton, away to Sunderland even. Sunderland won 5-0 thanks to goals from Clark, 2 from Ekwa. who they bought in recently, and Dak, another new signing, and Rig as well, scored to make it 5-0 in front of I think a sellout crowd at the Stadium of Light, Sunderland, with 41,459 people attending that, which is, I don't know if that's a record for the Championship, but that's a hell of a lot of people for a Championship game. Another 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, early kickoff. It was sort of a seven-side derby, I suppose you can say. Swansea, well, you can't really say that, I suppose, but Swansea against Bristol City, there is a rivalry because they're not that far apart from each other. But Bristol City came out on top, got a good win, keeps them just outside the playoffs line in 8th position. They're literally only 2 points off the playoffs. Bristol City won 2-1 thanks to goals from Sykes and Bell. Cullen got a goal for Swansea, but Swansea's continued their bad start to the season. They're in the relegation zone in the Championship. So, yeah. Also, the final result in the Championship that weekend was another shock result. Huddersfield winning 2-1 at West Brom. West Brom had been on a great run, but Huddersfield had brought that to an end. They needed it because it's their first win of the season as well, like Rotherham's against Norwich. They won 2-1. They went 1-0 up through a guy called Bergzog, and then Swift equalised for West Brom. So then probably West Brom fans were thinking they were going to win that game, but Huddersfield got a goal right near the very end of the game. I think it was the 96th minute in injury time for Radoni to give him vital 3 points, which sees them go out of the relegation zone area in the Championship. So that's what's going on there. Preston are top of the Championship, Ipswich in second. In the playoffs, it's Leicester, Birmingham, Norwich and Hull. And down in the relegation zone, you've got Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday and Middlesbrough. Right, so we're going to jump into League One now. League One was a Lancashire derby between Blackpool and Wigan, two teams that got relegated from the Championship last season. Blackpool came out on top. Goal from new signing on his debut, Jordan Rhodes, who'd come from Huddersfield in the transfer window. There was an equaliser from McGuinness in the 89th minute. Wigan fans must have been thinking they got a point there, but somehow Blackpool dug deep and they got another winner on the 90th minute through Dougal to give them a 2-1 win, which they much needed at actually starting the season really badly. And now, so Blackpool are now up and running, so that's good for them. Bolton won 2-1 against Derby. Bristol Rovers drew 1-1 with Lincoln City. Burton Albion lost 1-0 at home to Exeter City. Carlisle beat Shrewsbury Town 2-0. Charlton won 2-1 against Fleetwood Town, which they needed after getting rid of their manager. A really bad start to the season. Cheltenham lost 2-0 at home to Barnsley. Cheltenham continue their bad run. They're now rock bottom of League One. Leyton Orient lost 3-0 at home to Stevenage. Leyton Orient really having a bad start to life in League One, having just got promoted as well. Northampton also lost 1-0 at home to Wycombe Wanderers. Oxford were on a great run. They were top of the table at the start of the day. They now dropped down to 6th after a 2-1 defeat to Port Vale. 2 goals in the one equalising goal in the 90th minute from Oxford, and then one in something like the 95th minute for Port Vale to give them a shock 2-1 win at Oxford. So great win for Port Vale. Great for their fans. That keeps them in the playoffs. I say a shock win, but Port Vale were on a good run as well. Port Vale were up near the playoffs at the start of the day. So anyway, great result for them. Finally in League One, Portsmouth beat Peterborough 3-1. They both played each other in the FL Cup in the week. But yeah, great result there for Portsmouth. So 3-1. So top of the table, it's Exeter City. They're having a fantastic season. Absolutely killing it at the moment. 1-4 drawn, 1 lost, 1. In second, you've got Bolton. In the playoff areas, it's Stevenage, who are having a great season so far. Port Vale as well, having a good season. Portsmouth and Oxford. So all those teams are doing really well. Down in the relegation zone, you've got Wigan, who started with an 8-point deduction at the start of the season. You've got Burton Albion, Fleetwood Town, and Cheltenham rock bottom of League One. So finally going to jump into League Two. League Two, Crewe won 3-1 against MK Dons. Doncaster Rovers drew 0-0 with Swindon. Grimsby got a good result against Gillingham, who was on fire at the top of the table at the start of the day. Grimsby won 2-0. Harrogate lost 1-0 against at home to Barrow. Mansfield drew 0-0 with Bradford. Morecambe won 1-0 against Salford City. Newport County drew 2-2 with AFC Wimbledon. Notts County went top of the League Two table, having been promoted from the conference. last season with a 3-1 win against Accrington Stanley. Macaulay Longstaff, who scored 40 odd goals for Notts County in the conference last year, is on fire. He got 2 on Saturday. Continues his good run. Yeah, the Stockport County were actually 2-0 up against Crawley Town in this game, but they drew 3-3 in their game at home to Crawley Town. Sutton lost 1-0 at home to Forest Green. Tranmere lost 1-0 at home to Wrexham, and Walsall won 1-0 against Colchester. So there was a lot of 1-0s, a lot of scrappy games in League Two on Saturday. But as I say, Notts County are top of the League Two table. In the second promotion place at the moment, you've got MK Dons. Third promotion place, you've got Gillingham. In the playoffs, you've got Barrow, AFC Wimbledon, Newport County and Mansfield. And then if you go down to the bottom two in the relegation zone in League Two, it's Sutton United and Doncaster Rovers. So really poor start to the season for Doncaster Rovers right at the bottom there. But yeah, so that's what's gone on with all the games for the weekend. Yeah, it was a really, really interesting weekend. As I say, some shock results. Forest winning away at Chelsea. No one really saw that happening. I think it was something stupid like the 7-1 for him to win the game itself. As I say, crazy game between Arsenal and Manchester United with those late goals for Arsenal. Looking, there wasn't really any other shocks in the Premier League at the weekend apart from that one, the Forest away win. But as I say, I've already mentioned some of the shocks in the lower leagues. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to everybody who watches the video. If you can get all your friends and family to like and subscribe, really appreciate it. Just keep on putting out this content. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as possible. And I'm grateful for all those that get behind me. Have a great week, whoever you support. We're now on the international break, which is the worst, most boring part for the next couple of weeks. But obviously, when the fixtures resume, I believe it's on the 15th or the 16th of September, I'll be coming back with more content, more reviews, more predictions of what's going to happen. In the meantime, I'm probably going to do a few episodes on past historical seasons for teams in England. If anyone's got any suggestions, put it in the comments box and I will do a classic season of whoever your team is. Have a great week. Bye for now.